are now tuned in to DAR Sports Media on a huge, possibly, well, historic in a couple of ways, but who knows how historic by the end of it, or in a few weeks or a few months, what ends up being the fallout of the week that ended in September 27th of 2024. This week, we had our first incident. Matt Sluka, quarterback of 3-0 UNLV, who might be looking at, who might have been looking at a possible playoff berth on their way, had a little situation with his NIL money. The story initially broke that he asked for more than what he was getting, and when the school said no, he said, okay, cool, I'm taking my red shirt then, and I'm going to transfer. So basically, he's shutting it down. He's not going to play. He's going to enter the portal next year. So what ended up developing after that throughout the day, and it was a great example for everyone of why you should just hold your horses in forming an opinion or making definitive statements about things like this, because a ton of layers of he said, she said came out throughout the rest of the day. So when you say, and this is one of my favorite phrases of the last couple of decades, words matter. So when you say he marched into the office and demanded more than what he was getting, Matt Sluka and his father came forward and said, yes, we did ask for more than we were getting because we were getting nothing. That was their side of it, that UNLV hadn't paid him at all. Other than his relocation fee, wasn't covering his living expenses, and had not paid him at all. Their story also was that they were told by an assistant coach that they were going to get $100,000. There is UNLV answers with, we, the university, complied with all of our financial obligations to this player. There's a third entity involved in this, and that's a whole nother conversation about whether, this is how this should work. Whether, because a lot of these schools have these things, these booster entities that are, so to speak, the money bank. That's where they get the money from. The school, sometimes they have people who work with these people. Sometimes the players, and some of them have representation, work directly with the booster pool, to the booster conglomerate, to get paid, to get their NIL money. And so that is kind of where that ended up going towards the end, was Sluka and his father and his representation said, hey, we were promised this by an assistant coach. We did not receive any of it. UNLV says that they have done everything that they were supposed to do, which technically maybe they have, because the people who are going to have to be distributing that money are the booster pool, the booster conglomerate. So, and they said that the booster conglomerate said that they were in contact with the Sluka family trying to work something out, what the money was actually going to be. And that's when they cut off communication, and guy took his red shirt and he's leaving. So it sounds ultimately, without anybody directly throwing anybody under the bus, it sounds ultimately like maybe an assistant coach or somebody in this process made some promises that they were not empowered to make, because it's an assistant coach saying you are going to receive this money, but the money is not coming from anybody who the assistant coach has any connection or power or position with. So, I could say, you're going to get paid all this money for joining my team, but it's the bank ultimately who decides on if you're actually going to get that money and how much and in what increments. So that's where we're at. It appears at this point. There might be who knows? Because there was about 10 updates yesterday. Seems like some promises were made to this young man, maybe made by somebody who didn't have the true power or resources to make those promises. They're mad at the school. The school says, hey, don't look at us. We're not the ones that pay. It's the booster conglomerate. And the booster conglomerate said, well, we never promised you that. It was some other guy. And the Sluka family says, fuck everyone. We're taking our red shirt and we're transferring out of here. It's a lot. And, you know, a lot of people were saying it was wild that, you know, because he apparently has representation, that nothing was put into writing by anybody or nothing was assured. That's a bad look. To me, it's a bad look all around because, like, you're trying to be a serious D1 program and you're looking like you're in contention for a playoff spot. Just fucking figure it out. Get this kid his money. It's $100,000. Like, what the fuck are we doing here? How do you let this drag out this long? And how do you talk to other players that might be transferring in? Like, bro, you couldn't even get your quarterback's money right. Why would I trust anything you fucking say about a money situation? I know who really has the money now. It ain't fucking you. It ain't you who can make a promise about that. And, you know, hate it or love it, that's what a lot of this stuff is based upon now. And that's fine, because these guys should be getting paid for their talents. What a tangled web.
I agree with that one.
What a tangled web we weave. Who wants to be Spider-Man first?
I mean,
honestly,
go ahead, bud.
I understand, like, wanting to get paid for your services. I think UNLV dropped the ball because we saw something about the running back left for similar reasons.
Yeah.
I feel like they could tap into the casinos, the mob. They have a lot of resources out there where they could find the money.
That's what I'm saying. This is clown shit. Like, you can't find $100,000 to get this fixed for this guy in fucking Las Vegas? God damn.
My only issue with Sluka is wherever he goes next, his teammates going to kind of look at him funny style and look at him as like a quitter. And he's completing 44% of his passes like a fucking wing T quarterback. So I understand
because he plays like a wing team quarterback. He's not a passer. He's pretty electric on the ground. He has been very good on the ground.
I don't know, man. Like 3 games. I understand it's their first time being ranked since 1984, but a 3-game sample size and you try and walk in and ask for a raise, and I don't know. It's just that part doesn't sit well with me. I understand when you get paid,
but that depends. Hold on, depends on who you believe, because him and his family are saying they're only asking for what they were told that they were going to get.
Right.
Not a raise. What they were told they were going to get, and I'm not. Hey. We're never going to fucking know because as said, none of this was put into writing. There's no records of this. There's no receipts of any of this. There's no, I personally don't think that the raise thing happened. I think what the kid is saying happened. And I think that there was a misunderstanding. I think that he was told something by a member of the coaching staff who did not have the ability to make that promise. That person made a promise that another group of people's money had to fulfill, and that's where we ended up going wrong. Again, it's fucking crazy to me to lose your quarterback over $100,000. But because nobody can show any receipts of anything. They can't say, no, we paid this guy what we said we were going to pay him. Look, it would be extremely easy to pull up a bank sheet of transactions and show, here we go. That's that, you obviously redact the important stuff, but you say, here we go. Here are the payments that we sent to this guy's bank account that he gave us. What the fuck is he talking about? But like, nobody's doing any of that. And that's what leads me to believe that promises were made by somebody who didn't have the power to make those promises. And then things kind of fell apart from there, which again, makes the program look fucking JoJo because you're losing your quarterback over $100,000 when you have a chance to go to the fucking playoffs. I know a guy like True. We're about business. Like, just fucking take care of it, and we'll fucking figure out who fucked up on the back end. But if you lose your quarterback and you don't make the playoff because of this, I'm pretty sure the difference to the income of the school between making the playoff and not making the playoff is more than $100,000 fucking dollars. So what the fuck are you doing? Just get it fixed. And then you'll figure out who fucked this up later. Because people's getting fired anyways because of this, most definitely. Keep going, Axe.
I was going to pass to Lee and say that was pretty much all I had to say. Like, I hope it's worth it for him. He came from Holy Cross. I just hope he isn't blackballed off of this move. But I think they're going to make an example out of him. I think it's going to be some type of NCAA sanction. But I wanted to hear what Tay and Lee had to say about it.
Tay, go ahead.
I understand where he's coming from. Like, I'm definitely siding with the player. Like you said, he played 4 years at Holy Cross. You know, I know he probably wasn't making any money there. So, you know, hit the portal, and you know, he was probably looking for money. That was probably, you know, something that was important to him. So he picked this school for money, I'm pretty sure, and they didn't fulfill his needs. So I get it. Like, I think all of us would probably do the same thing. If I go to a school and they not giving, I'm a starting quarterback, and then they didn't give me what was promised, I'm not playing. There's ultimately, no way, especially if I need it, because he's not going to the NFL, he's not going to the UFL. Like this is it. Like, I'm sorry, like this is it. Like this after football, this is his last football, college football. So, you know, like 100,000 may mean a lot to him. Like, so I'm siding with the player.
Because ultimately he's making the claim that they didn't do what they were supposed to do, or he didn't get any money from them. It would be very easy. It would be very easy for them to prove that was not the case.
Yeah.
And they haven't.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why I tend to believe their story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Lee, what do you think, man?
Yeah, I gotta side with the player too. They probably had like no expectations of winning these first 3 games in the first place at Houston, at Kansas, and of course Utah Tech, but whatever. It, like what you said, Eric, it's $100,000. It's not 500,000. It's not $1 million like with Shador or Travis. Their NIL evaluation is made up, but it's 100,000, and I'm sure somebody on that UNLV campus somewhere working has 100. Maybe share it, put it together. I don't know. They should have had this thing figured out.
So
honestly, before the season started.
So one of the things that came up is that it's the booster conglomerates policy that everybody gets the same amount, and they didn't disclose what that amount is, but that everybody on the team gets the same, and it's not $100,000. So again, this goes back to, for me, someone told him something that they didn't have the fucking power to be saying. Maybe didn't know what the fuck they were talking about. Because that was also an important fact that came out of that came out as a story updated over time. Was that UNLV, their general policy is that everybody gets paid the same. If you're on the team, this is what you get for NIL type of thing. So that coach didn't have the, and you know how these assistant coaches, these recruiting specialists are. Oh, I know that's what they say, but man, I got you. I know him. I'll get it figured out. We'll get something worked out for you. Like, I can hear it. I can hear it in my mind. Car salesman. True.
You ain't even gotta ask me how I feel about it. You ain't even gotta ask me. Like, you already know when it comes down to it. Pay that man his money. That's it. I don't even really got much to say about it. I think institutions have a tendency to do that, is promise people stuff or say they're gonna do something and they don't do it. And I feel like with colleges, I mean, obviously, you're trying to sell yourself. You're trying to sell yourself to a player to come there, and $100,000 sound like a whole lot of money. So for sure,
But I like at the end of the day, man, pay him his money. Pay him his money, give him what they agreed on, and it's as simple as that. I saw a lot of the discourse about it, earlier today when people talking about it, and it just boils down to that, man. If you say you're gonna do something, do it, and that's it. If you're gonna do it. And when it comes to money, I mean, that could help that kid take care of his family, could help his family out, and it's like you're. It's not like the school is. I mean, school's gonna suffer if they don't, because it's a bad look on them. It's the worst. That's the last thing you
Yeah.
want is to
Clown shit.
yeah. And we all know about how people like to make themselves look bad, institutions and stuff, by not doing things the right way. So I think just do what's right. It baffles me how it's hard for institutions, companies, and businesses to just do what's right and do what you say you're gonna do. I mean, if you're not gonna do it, then shut the fuck up and don't say you're gonna do it. Really, that's it. You didn't have to say that. You didn't have to say this was going to happen. And you did it, and now you don't want to do it. Now everybody gets the same thing. Like, all right, that's cool. But you already know how I felt. Pay that man his money. You know what I'm saying? Get this show rolling. We in what, week 5 now?
4.
Week
Yeah,
5. Yeah, I swore it was 5. I could be wrong. Okay.
Well, it is 5. Yeah, they're going to play their 4th game. That's
Yeah.
when you can't play in 4th games in redshirt.
Yeah.
This is a good segue, because this type of thing, we've already talked about it. I think we talked about it more on United Football Media than we've talked about it here. Like regulations, some sort of regulations are coming, because this is getting crazier and crazier as the years go by. Some sort of salary cap, contracts, calling them employees. Something is about to happen for some people, because I think when that wedge issue comes up, we'll see another large step into what appears we've seen the first step of today, which is the Big Ten and the SEC getting together for a joint meeting, type of thing that's really never happened before. They're discussing an enforcement arm, a playoff format, and scheduling arrangements. Now, we have said for a while here, and I've said over there on United Football Media too, I think we're well on the way to, at least it always seemed like maybe the SEC, but now that they have a counterpart in the Big Ten, the SEC and the Big Ten breaking away entirely from the NCAA. There's no laws. There's nothing that stops them from doing that. There's nothing that says they have to. I think that they're headed towards a place where they're completely broken away and they will decide their own rules, if any caps, if any regulations, or come here and make the big bucks and transfer and do whatever you want, or vice versa. Maybe the old NCAA, who's going to be left behind without the SEC and the Big Ten, maybe they're the ones who say transfer, do whatever you want, make whatever money you want, and the new whatever the fuck, the Death Star Conference or whatever it's going to be called, are going to be the ones with regulations. But what I know is that these meetings are in progress now. Things are starting to ratchet up with this NIL stuff, with the transferring. Now this new trend of guys will play a few games, take their own red shirt, and then shut it down early. Basically, enter the transfer portal during the season. Basically, we saw another guy, Bear Alexander, USC, which is a whole nother fucking. That guy's just a goofy. I don't know if that has anything to do with. I mean, you're laughing, but 4 different high schools, 3 different colleges, each one of them with multiple commits and decommits. The guy's a fucking weirdo. I don't know what the fuck's going on there. No normal person does that. I'm sorry. Like I don't. But you're starting to see the running back, like we said, for UNLV, did the same thing. You're going to start seeing it more and more. This is going to bring the NCAA in to try and throw their weight around. I think we suspect that this expansion of the playoff was to get more SEC and Big Ten teams and to try and make those 2 conferences happy. I don't know if it's going to be enough. I think they're going to say, well, why wouldn't we just do our own thing? 12 teams and our best 6 against your best 6 or whatever the fuck it's going to end up being. I think we're on our way, gentlemen. What do you think there, Axe?
Yeah, I definitely think by 2030 we want to have like a dual conference thing going on. More and more teams keep going to these conferences, and other teams are interested. I know at one point, like Florida State was. That shit ain't happening now, but like
No.
we were interested in going to the SEC at one point. So it's just I think it's gonna happen, but for the time being, I just hope that it's a good amount of parity and we can be competitive. But I think it's inevitable.
I mean, they might take Florida State just because big school, big brand. Just because they're down now doesn't mean they're going to be down forever. Because, you would think in your mind's eye, if two conferences were going to do this, they would both want to get to like 24 teams. You know what I'm saying? To do 2 conferences, or 20 teams apiece or something like that. Lee Harvey, what do you think, brother?
I think it's definitely going to happen. Maybe not 2030, but maybe like 2028, 2029.
I think it depends on, because that's what really governs this is the media rights. If these 2 conferences break off and do their own thing and they're able to sell their media rights to TV networks, that's what's going to fuel this money-wise. And it can be huge money.
Yeah.
So I think it depends on what they can get worked out with the media rights, how fast this is going to happen. Because as we discussed off air, college football, man, it's rumors start and then shit's happening 12 hours later. So it could go that way. NCAA should be on notice, but keep going.
Oh yeah. I was gonna say, like, the sport keeps evolving every year, every couple years now. So I wouldn't be surprised if they end up making a super league out of the Big Ten and SEC. And who knows, maybe the ACC and Big 12 maybe do the same thing. It all depends on what they feel is right at that moment.
Tay, what do you think, man?
I think it's interesting, like the options they have. Like in my head, I kind of see like them making their own league, like how the NFL is, like that. I think that would be interesting, like have 2 conferences. Well, yeah, they already are 2 conferences, SEC, Big Ten. They're pretty even, like there's no landslide to one side, to one conference. So it would be interesting. I just don't know what happens with the other conferences. Like, do they still play each other? And like what's up? The ACC is the Pac-12 comeback. Like, I'm more so thinking about them. Yeah, but I mean, I like change. I'm interested in change. I mean, my team's in the Big Ten, so I'm not opposed to it. So I like it. College football has changed my whole life. Like before, you had to remember the BCS era, and then they added the 14 college football playoff. Now it's 12. Like everything they've done, I've liked. So I don't see why not.
Yeah,
so
it's interesting that the perspective for you is interesting because the rest of us grew up. This stuff never changed. It was SEC, the Big 12, the Pac-10 for most of our lives, for all that forever. And then out of nowhere, what year was that? Was that 2010, 2011 when Utah, Colorado, all those guys, they all jumped to the Pac-10 and made it the Pac-12. That was the first real, like, oh shit, like a realignment. And then it started to become more regular. And then you started seeing all this insane shit that's happened the last few years where the regional connections have even completely gone away. And people are just trying to get as many brands as possible. I mean, we already have Stanford and Cal in the ACC. The Pac-12 this week tried to get fucking Tulane, UTEP, and some other Mountain West schools to come over.
Just fuck the logistics, fuck geography.
Yeah, but that's kind of what I'm saying. Where it's becoming a NFL amateur league because
right.
It's just like travel is not an issue. Like what? This is what we do. This is big time football. Travel is what we do. We're not fucking concerned about this.
I am glad the BCS era is over because so many teams got robbed of like some good ass opportunities because of them points. And I used to hate the BCS.
And then before that, Tay, check this out. We used to have the bowl season, right? And then your top bowls would usually have like some real good matchups, like your New Year's Day matchups.
Mm-hmm.
And then they would just vote on who the champion was.
What?
And that was it. There wouldn't even be. There wouldn't even be a game. There was no championship game. Now, sometimes you would end up with like number 1 against number 3, number 2 against number 6, or something like that.
Oh wow!
But yeah, it used to just be the New Year's bowl games, and then they voted, and that's the AP National Champion of the Year.
Did it always go for the 1 seed?
No, I mean not if they lost. I mean, we'd have to go back in the annals of time to really dig into that. Like, okay, if the 1 seed won, but the number 3 seed won, and they were more impressive in their victory, did they end up winning? I mean, I think so. I think that's happened before. I think there was a couple of shared championships, like split championships.
Yeah. Colorado, Michigan had split one time.
Yeah. That's how it used to work, bro. That's how it worked for pretty much my true Axe lead. That's how it worked for pretty much our whole lives.
Yeah.
And just within the last 10 years, fucking, there was the BCS. Well, it's like 15 years ago. It was the BCS. That was why the BCS was a big deal. It was like, we are going to get a number 1 versus number 2 game. Like that was a big deal at the time, And then they went to the CFP finally, and then so on and so forth. So yeah, it has been an insane thing to watch recently. I've heard a lot of people. Let's get a little bit loose here and get a little bit of comedy. I've seen a lot of people talking about, nobody can define for me what the fuck they're talking about. They're saying, this is destroying college football. It's the destruction of college football. I'm like, how? Because Bear Alexander fucking transferred? Like, who fucking cares? Like, we're still doing number 1 Alabama, or still doing number 3 Alabama against number 1 Georgia this weekend, aren't we?
Yes, sir.
So what the fuck are you talking about? Because Bear Alexander transferred college football is destroyed. Matt Sluka and his fucking 38% completion percentage or whatever fucking Axe was frying him about. College football is destroyed. Who gives a fuck? We still got the big boys doing big things.
Yeah.
I got Bama in that game, by the way. Like, I wasn't really impressed with Georgia against Kentucky. I got Bama winning that game.
Is it in Georgia or is it at Bama?
It's at Tuscaloosa.
Oh, yeah. This is going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. Yeah, but after that performance against Kentucky that Georgia's on notice.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I don't even want to think about what that fucking practice was like. I remember practices because I was on a pretty powerhouse team in high school. I remember practices, the ones that we should have whooped ass and we played like shit and barely won. Those fucking weeks of practice were worse than the ones when we fucking lost. We didn't lose my senior year, but other years, the weeks of practice when we, only won by 10 when we should have won by 30 was fucking the worst goddamn weeks of practice. So I know Kirby Smart has been in that ass all fucking week, getting them, especially with this matchup with Bama. Interesting stuff. Tay, who you got in that game?
I got Alabama too. Yeah, I got Alabama too. I like what Alabama has been doing this season, taking care of business. They've been a little shaky the past 2 years, like Bryce Young's last year, and then last year they haven't been that same best team in the nation kind of Bama. But I think this is a statement game right here. Like Bama's kind of fell off a little bit. This is a statement game, and they win this. They're they're gonna be the number one team. Like this, whoever wins this match, whoever wins this game, it's gonna be the number one seed. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Bama.
And what do you think of people just saying that this stuff is destroying college football?
That's just the thing that people say about everything. Like every time change happens, people just like it. Their brain just can't register it. I don't believe in that. Like I honestly like 12-team college football playoff. Like just like what I was talking about. First it was BCS. It just had 1 versus 2. Then you had the 4-team. Then you had the 12-team. They haven't did anything bad. Like nothing has been wrong. I like the NIL idea. You get more team movement. Like who doesn't like? Oh, he went here. Like who doesn't like? Roster movements and stuff like that. Like for example, like Florida State.
I don't like it with DJU. But
yeah, I was just about to say that. But I mean, just like stuff like that. Just the fact that you had the opportunity to get such a great quarterback like that, man.
Great. Man, we average like 14 points per game,
yeah,
bro. We ain't great.
But yeah, like just having an opportunity to just to grab the best quarterback in college football. Yeah, college football, they haven't done anything wrong. They're paying the players now. Players are happy. We got the game now. Like there's nothing to complain about. So it's not destroying anything. Honestly, I like college football where it's at right now.
True. Man,
Yes,
is players getting some agency and getting paid? Is that fucking destroying the sport of college football?
The only people who feel that way are pieces of shit. So I was trying to find the right word. The right word. I had a couple other words I was going to use. Go with the choice words. But
All I'm going to say is both with the Sluka thing, like which side you believe, and also the types of people who are saying this is destroying college football. You could probably, if I gave you a lineup of profile pictures, you could probably fucking guess which ones are which. And they're all on the same on one side of each argument.
they use that meme for they use that meme where they put all the like profile pictures in one and they show you. Yeah, it's basically
a lot of glasses in the car.
Yeah, exactly.
Wearing glasses in the truck.
Exactly. Sometimes you can see a nice little Confederate flag sitting in the back of that too.
Oh, little Punisher skull. Yeah,
a little bit of that. Yeah. But nah, I think I always think it's funny when people say something is destroying this or destroying that. Like, there's been so much change in college football, like y'all you just talking about, and college football is evolving because they have to add pieces to this. They needed to pay those players. Players are going to college and not. You know what I mean? Their families struggling and not fully taken care of like they need to be. So you need to sweeten the pot and help these kids out, because some of these kids don't come from wealth or great, a great family.
Yeah.
And so you have to look out for those guys. They are going out there putting their bodies on the line for your school to make you money and the school money. So do right by them. And I think people are weird, man. People are weird. People look at stuff from the wrong perspective, and they try to find ways to side with organizations or side with powers that be, because I guess maybe we've been taught that. You know what I mean? Maybe we've been taught that for years. Like the institution is this, and the institution is that. But when it comes down to players, nobody's putting more on the line than the players. So
I said it, on there. First of all, everybody cries about this free education thing. Motherfucker, only, and this goes to my greater point, only like 25 of the fucking schools have an 80% fucking graduation rate for their fucking football players. So what the fuck are you talking about? Like, you're not even making sure these guys get their fucking free education that you said was so valuable. And that leads to my greater point is it was, they had, so since Pony Excess, since SMU in the 80s, we knew that this was going on, that this was an issue for these guys. The NCAA has had 40 fucking years to figure this out. And they're so fucking addicted to exploiting young, mostly black kids and their labor and their fucking bodies for entertainment that they could not do anything anything. It wasn't even a subject to be discussed to stop from this train coming down the tracks. And now the chickens are coming home to fucking roost. I agree, it's completely fucking out of control, but I also don't care. And they're about to be pushed out the fucking door because two leagues are about to separate themselves and do their own thing. They could have taken care of this for decades. And they were too addicted to exploitation of young, uneducated people who most of them had a poor support system at home, who had broken families, who had things of that nature.
Extremely predatory behavior. Extremely.
Yes. They were too fucking addicted to it to stop from they themselves being fucking devoured. And that's what's about to happen, and they fucking deserve it. Who you got in Bama against Georgia, True?
Well, the segue to a little less serious topics. I think it's gonna be tough because I kind of agree with Ax and Tay, but I feel like Georgia wants to make a point. I mean, and what better way to do it against the Roll Tide? So, it's a tough one. I'm gonna go against the grain and go Georgia. I think it'll be a close game. But I personally feel like Alabama has just to me, I think Alabama is just a little bit better. Personally, I feel like that so far, just off what I've seen. But I feel like Georgia, you need a statement win. This is
their Super Bowl so far.
Yeah, this is a statement. You need that statement win. Go in there and get it done. Like you said, you hate to see what those practices were like. I know they've been put through hell preparing for this game. So if they show up and don't show out, this is like a must win. This is a must win. So if you don't win this, I mean, your confidence is shot. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't get it done, and you didn't look good. You didn't look great. Last week didn't look great. Really, like that. Really, in general. So you haven't looked super, super great yet, and this is the team to do it against. It's that big stage. Big. It's that big fight feel, that big game feel, and got to get it done. So I'm gonna go with Georgia, but if they don't get it done, would not surprise me.
Spreads of the week. This one, I had one picked, but then I saw this one at the last minute. I can't fucking believe. Texas is favored by 38 over Mississippi State. Another SEC team.
Yeah.
I usually look twice at spreads like this when it's just a Division I against another Division I. They are favored by 38 over another SEC team. Whoa. I don't know, man, because you could, as we always talk about, you could tease this up to 39. 39?
Mm-hmm.
Did Mississippi State take a bad loss to somebody?
Yeah, they
got blown up by Toledo
and lost to Florida.
Pretty booty.
Yeah, like I'm taking it over, man. Like,
okay, 39. Okay.
No, they're gonna beat them by 50. Yes. 50.
That would be big money to go out there. You could go out and you could tease that up the other way and get more money back. Yeah. So maybe I'll look into that. Tay is that confident. There we go.
With who at quarterback? Because Sark hasn't announced who's starting yet.
Either way, they're gonna blow them out. Because if it were to be, say Quinn starts, they're gonna be blowing them out, and Arch's gonna come in anyway. Like both of them are gonna play regardless, So it doesn't even matter.
Yes, I wanted to ask Lee, what did he think about the Illinois and Penn State games? I know he's in Big Ten country. I haven't really seen Illinois play a lot.
Oh, Illinois! You didn't see him against Nebraska?
I was out that game, but I heard they won and everything. That's the one game I missed this weekend.
They did, and Luke Altmaier. Fun fact, he's the only quarterback in the country who has 10 touchdown passes and no picks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if Illinois does upset Penn State because Penn State's best games have been against meh competition. This is their first real test, even though they're playing at home. So I'm tempted to take Illinois.
Oh, wow.
I'm tempted, yeah.
I'm definitely going to check that game out. I saw like Louisville was playing Notre Dame too.
That's
I haven't seen much of Louisville, but I don't know. Like Notre Dame, they shook back after that bad loss.
I'm interested in what Lee was just saying because the spread on that game is 19.5 Penn State.
That's too much. That's
way too much.
Yeah, I like it. Might have to parlay that with old Tays minus 42.5. One more. Memphis favored by 27 over Middle Tennessee.
I couldn't tell you about that, brother, man. Like I only saw Memphis play, but I didn't see Middle Tennessee State play, so I can't call that.
But that's some of the fun of this is that sometimes you haven't seen these teams play, but is Memphis 27 points better than anybody? Another Division I team?
Well, I mean, they went to our house and beat us by 8, so they probably are 27 points better than somebody in their conference.
What do you think, Tay?
They put up 40 against Navy, so I mean, maybe.
Yeah. I think they could beat them by 30. Like I could see that. 45 to 15, something like that. 49 to 21. They could beat them like that because I'm just looking at what Middle Tennessee has done. They got blown out by Western Kentucky.
Oh, well,
they get tossed around. this whole season.
Okay.
So.
Well, so there you go.
Did that? Dang.
Little bit of insight there from Tay's Takes. That's a good piece of information to have. Maybe that is a good pick. Winning big, just like DAR Sports Media. Check out our NFL pod from this week. It was a fun episode covering the NFL Week 3 review going into Week 4. I think, true, man, the streets are upset. They want to know. I've had somebody ask me for a breakdown, an explanation of this Braun Breaker booking. I told him, man, we'll get you on the pod. It's going to be easier for me to talk about it than to fucking try to lay it all out, typed out. Streets begging for a week in wrestling, bro.
This put like this. Last weekend would have been a good weekend. This weekend is probably just as good. So, without saying too much, we can definitely get that popping. Now, I will say,
hopefully, looking for some better weekends ahead.
Oh, for sure.
Uh-huh.
Things looking pretty decent right now. But I will say, the one thing that I would love to discuss on the Weekend Wrestling is this documentary.
Shit, I better watch it. Well, I got tomorrow off, so there you go. I might watch it, and then we might jump in.
So I have it. I'm on episode 5.
Some pecker grabbing going on.
I'm on episode 5 of the documentary, and they
grabbing motherfuckers. Yeah.
They said it gets worse after episode 5. They said it gets worse. So probably tonight, right. Tonight and tomorrow, I'll probably finish it.
Here we go.
But yeah, Weekend Wrestling. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. This is big week.
So there we go. Big week. DAR. The Medium site is always fucking flaming, man. Fire. Fucking Ahmed Johnson article went up today. I was pumped about that. That's one of my favorite people to look back on him. Mike Awesome, guys like that. Like, fuck yeah. Ahmed Johnson article. You mentioned
that time. You mentioned Mike Awesome. There's an ECW series we got in the works for the Medium site. I want to point out the Medium site has now done 5 times more than what we did in August, which
was the old record. God damn.
Yeah, which was the old record. We're killing it right now. We're crushing it. These articles are crushing it, and yeah, man. There's more articles coming. We just got a new writer added to the team. My guy, Scotland or Nicholas Monroe from the Black Guy Wrestling Podcast.
One of the most talented fucking people that you're going to find in this space.
Amazing dude. A genuine brother, one of my guys, and he will be making an appearance sooner than later on this pod here at some point. Don't know which one. Don't know which one he wants to jump in because we got so many to choose from, whether it's wrestling, football. You know,
Once he's feeling good about it, me and him, we
Yeah.
gotta get that MMA show going. I'm telling you.
oh yeah. No, they
Yeah.
like so.
Big things
Yeah.
coming.
And it's basketball season right
Yes.
around the corner. Yes, sir.
Fucking A.
We'll
So
see if the Celtics can repeat this year, X. All right.
sub to the
Yeah.
YouTube, bookmark the Medium site, stay on it. All this shit. It's crazy. And that is because the world of DAR never stops.